se salvó un barrio. Hoy por hoy el barrio que se salvó es el más importante que tiene la ciudad de Lisboa. ¿Sabían eso? De hecho, cuando abrimos un mapa de Lisboa a mano, a ver, este es el mapa oficial. Este mapa es una porquería. Pero es el mapa oficial, no hay ningún diseñador gráfico acá, por favor, que me diseñe. Creo que yo tengo uno por acá, voy a buscar. Yo tengo uno por acá porque insisto que además, quédenselo para él, yo tengo uno acá. ¿Ustedes tienen mapa, chicos? Insisto que es importantísimo además saber ubicarnos. Aquí está muy bien. Y además tiene marcado de tranvía. No sé si tienen mapa. ¿Había un mapa de Lisboa? El mapa original. Vengan acá porque yo quiero. Insisto además que es importantísimo ubicarse en la ciudad de Lisboa. ¿Okay?
The Portuguese monarchy, after a couple of years, is bankrupt at the beginning of the 20th century. The last king and crown prince are shot down in the square where we're going to finish our introduction this morning. And 2 years later, Portugal begins its experiments with republics. Very, very quickly, during the 20th century, Portugal had 3 republics. The first one started in 1910, lasted for 16 years, was a complete failure. By the end of that, there was almost civil war on the streets. People were unemployed, completely unhappy. Nobody had a job. We had joined the First World War on the side of the English, but all of our troops had been completely destroyed by the German Kaiser. Bookshop, which was founded in 1732, and that makes it the oldest bookshop in the world. Bertrand, right? You can Google that. If you were here during the Second World War, you would have seen posters on this window glorifying Hitler as the only man who could stop communism. You walked a little bit further down the street, you would have seen posters on the next bookshop glorifying Churchill as the only man who could stop the Nazis. So what was going on? Lisbon was neutral during the Second World War, okay? Lisbon was actually full of spies during the conflict. It was, some maintain, the city with most spies, right? The capital of spies in the Second World War. You would have found German and English spies having their bicas in Café Brasileira, not in the same table, but you would have seen them around there fishing for information. That's why Portugal was and Lisbon specifically, the birthplace of the world's most famous spy. Who is the world's most famous spy? Bond, that's correct. Bond, James Bond. Yes, he was born. Ian Fleming worked for the British Secret Service. He was actually in Estoril by the Estoril Casino when he had the idea for the first James Bond book, which was called Casino Royale. Yes, somebody said that. That's correct. Somebody brought the tiles to Lisbon, all right? And I want you guys to tell me who that was. From listening to my little introduction, who do you think brought these tiles? Which civilization? Yeah, who said Arab? Well, that's correct, it was the Arabs, ladies and gentlemen. Well, the Romans is a good guess. The Arabs, very simple, the Arabs brought blue and white tiles. The reason being that in the beginning, the baking process that was used to make the tiles didn't allow for any other color of pigment. All right? Only later on, with an invention which is credited to the Italians of a method called cordoeria, did other colors get introduced, namely yellow, green, and brown. All right? The reason that the original blue and white tiles were geometric patterns is very simple. It's that the Arabs, according to the Quran, they cannot draw any living things, right? You can only draw geometric patterns. That's why if you go to the big mosques, all right, Sofia in Istanbul, you'll only see geometric decorations. Okay, now the Portuguese Christian artists were not limited by that, so we developed the human form, as you can see, all right? And then our artists became quite depressed after the earthquake and associated tsunamis, so we went back to the geometric patterns like this green building here on the right. If you guys really enjoy our tiles, we have the National Museum of Tiles where you can enjoy about 6 hours of them. Okay, now we're going to continue our march. I just want to say a word or two about the Portuguese language. Some of you will be wondering why the Portuguese language has all of these sounds, why it sounds so different to Spanish. When you look at it on written texts, you thought, oh, it's very similar, and then you listen to it and you're like, ah, this is like something completely different. And it's actually, the Portuguese language has a very long history, but the most interesting part, which I think you should keep in mind, all right, and the reason why our sounds are so diverse, is that the Portuguese language it actually supplanted the Arabic, all right, in the early 15th century as the lingua franca for trade, for international trade. All right, this took place all over the Indian Ocean, around the Red Sea as well, all right, and the Portuguese language imbibed influences as much from the Arabic as from, and in fact, many Portuguese words, every Portuguese word that starts with AL has an Arabic root, all right? As from the trade that we established with the big trading houses of the north of Europe, all right? We traded with the Belgians, we traded with the Russians, all right? The company of Novgorod, all right? Which was part of the very famous, I'm having a blank now, what was it called? Hanseatic League, all right? Some of you may or may not have heard of that. And from the trade, the Portuguese language imbibed all these sounds. That's why sometimes I hear somebody talk on the train and I think he's Portuguese, and then I go and I find out they're actually from Moldavia, all right? Because the sounds are very similar. Okay, now we're gonna go to the bar district. Before that, I'm gonna show you guys the original blue and white geometric tiles. As we walk, I want you guys to always, of course, the city is beautiful, but there's something else. If you look down at the bottom, you'll usually see the River Tagus, which is also very relaxing and enjoyable. All right, let's go this way. With the castle of St. George and the surrounding district of Alfama. Alfama, in case you're wondering, comes from the Arabic al-hama, which means hot water. There used to be lots of geothermal activity on that hill. This is one of the reasons why the Phoenicians came here 3,000 years ago. Now gather around me, I'm going to plan your stay in Lisbon for you. All right, there are 3 things that you have to do to fully enjoy Lisbon, in my humble opinion. Those 3 things are, the first thing that you have to do is go to a place called Sintra. All right, Sintra is, I see some of you smiling, a 39-minute train ride away from a station in the downtown. In Sintra you'll find lots of amazing things, including a number of monuments that are definitely worth your while. There's also, if you have a sweet tooth, I can recommend and write down for you some very interesting and very tasty cakes that they only make in Sintra, pastries, which I can write down. So that's Sintra. You'll need a whole day for Sintra. The second thing that you should do in Lisbon is go to Alfama. Go and explore the neighborhood of Alfama, which it is very easy to get lost in. Those narrow streets that most of them lead nowhere. Alfama, if you want to go there and get lost, I recommend that you go with a box of chocolates and a bottle of water. The other way to go to Alfama is to come with one of us tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be doing a trip to Alfama. We'll take you to a couple of places that you wouldn't otherwise really find out about, especially illegal alcohol served from an old lady from her window called Aninha. It's really nice. Somebody was talking about giginha. She makes her own giginha, and a really nice homemade ice cream. She'll take you to the best viewpoint, to the cathedral, a number of interesting things. The last thing that I recommend you do in Lisbon is go to the riverside gardens of Belém. Right? Belém, you'll find the monastery, the tower, UNESCO World Heritage Sites. You know, Belém is actually the most visited place in the whole of Portugal by tourists. It's Belém. Anyway, in Belém, so you can go to Belém. Belém obviously has the amazing pastry, which I recommend you try, pastel de nata. All over Portugal, they make an egg custard tart called pastel de nata, right? Most of you will have heard of it. Some of you will have tried mediocre versions of it. The best pastel de nata is from Belém. Right? It's the pastel de Belém. They've been making it there for more than 200 years. And the pastel de Belém usually there's a huge queue waiting to get the pastel. The same way there's huge queues to go inside most of those monuments. I'm going to be going to Belém this afternoon. We're going to have a break for lunch for an hour, and then after that we're going to go. Right now we're going to have a little break.
La cola para coger el tranvía que recorre toda la ciudad.
A mano cambiar el sentido de la vía. Vamos aquí.
Oi, por favor, vai ao chave. Sim?
Um lugar incrível. Incrível. Querida Laresita, ¿qué tal te parece este sitio tan maravilloso, en mi opinión?
Estoy disfrutando de las vistas. Me encanta este restaurante. Nunca he visto nada parecido. Nunca he visto nada parecido.
Meu mal me gastou os dias que eu tive de amor ao ar. Vivo a pegar
sei se vocês lembram dele. Chamavam-lhe o Justino da Tipória. Era o maior amigo mais fiel do fado, da Boêmia e da Camboia. Era o maior amigo mais fiel do fado, da Boêmia e da Camboia. Tinha orgulho nas cartas, na jaleca, no boné à fadista e lença à faia. Fazia praça ali na horta seca e morava na rua da Atalaia. Fazia praça ali na horta seca e morava na rua da Atalaia. Sabia a vida íntima, amorosa dos vaias bailarinas fidalguia, mas numa diretriz imperiosa não contava a ninguém o que sabia. Mas numa diretriz imperiosa